and welcome to Cyber Review. I'm here with Phil Ferraro. He's going to be talking about his book, Cybersecurity, Everything You, Your Family, and Every Small Business Owner Needs to Know. How are you, Phil? Welcome.
I'm doing great. Thank you. Appreciate you having me on the call today.
Thank you for coming and thank you for writing this amazing book. What can you tell us about your background? How did you start it in cyber?
Well, I got into technology a little over 25 years ago, and I did everything from network engineering, managing firewalls, LANs, WANs, the whole nine yards. And what I found out way back then was the common thread was security. And so I followed that path and picked up all my industry certifications and CISSP and CCNAs and all those different types of things. And I became a chief information security officer. I actually worked my first CISO-like role was for the Department of Defense. And I did that for a number of years. I ran cyber for DoD in a number of different parts of the world. And then I went into the private community and been working for a few Fortune 500 companies over the last dozen or so years. And what I've seen, particularly in my last role was I was basically helping people all around the world, whether it was small to mid-sized businesses, the owners, the families, even the staff, the employees that work for these businesses. And what I found is that a lot of times in the large corporations, they would have a CISO, they'd have a full IT team, or they outsourced it to, an MSP or an MSSP. But for the majority of people, they don't have, especially the small and mid-sized businesses, they can't afford, they don't have the resources, either personnel or fiscal, to be able to have a full-time cyber person, let alone even an IT person. So I thought that it would be a great idea to write this book, and I wrote it into two sections. The first section is for individuals and family members. And then the second part of the book is more for the small to mid-sized businesses. A lot of the same concepts on both, but I give a lot of step-by-step instructions. I talk about the differences between individuals and families and businesses, real-world examples so people can see how things were done. And one of the most important things that I focused on in the book was making this easy to understand, getting rid of as much of the technical jargon as I could so that people, as they're reading this, they say, oh, I get it. And they can follow right along, they understand it. It makes it easier for them.
That's amazing. And in your book, you mentioned you have to think like a hacker. So what does it mean in practice, and how individuals or like small business owners can think like hackers?
I think, for me, it goes way back. I learned how to be a hacker. I became a certified ethical hacker many years ago. And when I was in my CISO roles, I would always do assessments of our networks, thinking like I was a hacker. How can I hack into our network from the outside? If we can make the outside secure, and then we can focus on all the things on the internal side of things. But for the small to mid-sized businesses, I think the key things are that they really have to understand the impact that it can have on the business or even on families.
And when you talk about about the practical cybersecurity, can you give us a tip for a small business owner or for an individual? I know you split your book in two, so can you give one for each?
Yeah, I think one of the most important factors or things that, and this applies to both, is having two-factor authentication. Right. And that could be biometrics. It could be fingerprints. Yes, you have to have two-factor authentication on everything. It's a little bit of an inconvenience, but it's a lot better than the alternative. And I would say the second thing is password strength. And this applies this is where I get a lot of groans when I'm talking to people, because they say, well, Phil, I've got an 8-character password, uppercase, lowercase. Isn't that good? And I have to laugh a little bit and say, absolutely not. 8 characters, 10 characters, even with complexity requirements, can be cracked in seconds.
Yeah. True.
And this is where they get scared when I say you have to have a password. And this is whether it's in a business or individual, family members, 16 characters or more. And everybody goes, oh, Phil, there's no way I can remember 16 characters. And so I asked them, can you remember your 8-character password? Oh, yeah, I know that I've been using it for years. Great. Type it twice. Now you have 16 and the reason I say 16 is because with today's technology, even the hackers, if they have supercomputers, they are still cannot crack a 16-character password. So two-factor and then strong passwords. Those are the two of the most important.
And also don't reuse your passwords, because if one company gets hacked, it probably will be able to get into the other company because they got access to your other password, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. So where can people get your book? And if someone wants to reach out to you, how they can do that? You have a LinkedIn website?
So the book is on Amazon. It's easy. You can just go to books. You can search for Philip Ferraro with two L's, Phillip, and then Ferraro, Ferraro. And it's just search Philip Ferraro Cybersecurity. And my first book, which I wrote several years ago for board directors and C-suite executives. But then you'll see this one, and hopefully, let's see. There you go, cybersecurity. Oops, there we go. Yeah. All right.
Perfect.
So yeah, you can get it on Amazon. I guess if you go on Barnes and Noble, it's there. It's available in both the paperback version as well as an ebook format. Yeah. And as far as contacting me, you can go to either my website, which is just www.philipferraro.com. And you can reach out to me there. I am on LinkedIn, so you can search for me on LinkedIn. And I also have a Substack. For those of you that are on Substack, like cyber material, just come and subscribe. And my subscriptions are free, so you can pick up a lot of tips because I'm posting a lot every week. And I also share that on LinkedIn and on Twitter as well. I'm also on Twitter. I'm sorry, Twitter, X. Sorry.
I know, right? Anyway, so thank you so much, Philip. It's amazing what you're doing. And everybody should get this book if you have a small business or if you have a family to protect. Get this book in your hands so you can protect them. So anything else you want to share with us, Philip?
No, I was like I say, just be safe. And hopefully you don't have to call Sophia because you're in trouble. So
yes. Anyway, we are always here to help if you are in need.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.